All right, folks, this is Mr. O'Brien, and in this video, I'm going to be going over Dr. King's The Social Organization of Nonviolence. All right, so let's look at the head note right above this document. So this defense of nonviolent resistance appeared in Liberation magazine as a response to an essay by North Carolina NAACP leader Robert F. Williams. And Williams was challenging the strategy of, quote, turn the other cheekism, close quote, in the face of racist terror. In his September article, the one which King was responding to, Williams argued that, quote, nonviolence is a very potent weapon when the opponent is civilized, but nonviolence is no match or repellent for a sadist. And he was referring to the white supremacist. All right, so this is a quick one, and this essay is from October 1959, so we're going backwards a little bit historically, but this is a worthy essay. There are only two questions about the essay. The third question is more about using her historical common sense, and we'll talk about it. And I have them color-coded here to help me find them when I'm going over the answers here. So what does King advocate that seems to contradict his historical legacy? The answer is self-defense. If you look at the third sentence here, the one that's highlighted yellow, violence exercised in self-defense, which all societies, from the most primitive to the most cultured and civilized, accept as moral and legal. So he's okay with self-defense. The principle of self-defense, even involving weapons and bloodshed, has never been condemned, even by Gandhi, who sanctioned it for those unable to master pure nonviolence. All right, so this should find its way into your final paper, most definitely. All right, kind of surprising to hear King talk about that. Second question, question 3 or 4 reasons King offers in opposition to, quote, the advocacy of violence as a tool of advancement. As a strategy. Why is it not a strategy, he says? Number 1, it's in green right here. He says, the greatest danger is that it will fail to attract Negroes to a real collective struggle. It's to what we would call socially atomized, A-T-O-M-I-Z-E-D. It's just an individual reaction to your anger and frustration. Self-defense is not some collective action, he would say. So it's too individualistic, too socially atomizing. Next, he says, it will mislead Negroes or African Americans into the belief that violence is the only path and place them as a minority in a position where they confront a far larger adversary than it is possible to defeat in this form of combat. All right, so he says that's like a double answer here, right? Number 1, it will lead them to think it's the only solution, and number 2, they won't win. You will not win. And the next thing he says is in blue here, in purple. When the Negro uses force in self-defense, he does not forfeit support. He may even win it by the courage and self-respect it reflects. So again, King's okay with self-defense, but when he seeks to initiate violence, he provokes questions about the necessity for it, and inevitably is blamed for its consequences. All right, so again, African Americans will get blamed for the violence, even if it's in self-defense. And then everybody will be talking about, do they have to be, was self-defense necessary? Was it self-defense? And they will lose sight of what they were actually out there protesting. So the last question, which isn't in the reading, how do you think Malcolm X and the Black Power advocates would respond? They would say that the Black Power movement or the Black nationalist movement is not just about self-defense. It's also a Black self-help movement. It's about improving their own communities, okay? So Malcolm X and other Black Power advocates would agree with what King is saying here, most of what he's saying. That, yeah, we can defend ourselves and we can focus on our own communities, all right? So there you have it, short and sweet.